How would you like to sleep better? I think we would all say, absolutely. Yeah, I would love to, even if we already sleep pretty well, right? We know sleep is super important to our health. My guest today is Elizabeth Grojean from BalooLiving.com, and she's going to share something that we can do very, very easily in order to sleep better. We're going to talk about what it is and the science behind it. But before we dive into my interview with Elizabeth, I want to ask you a quick question. Have you had an opportunity to rate and review this podcast in your podcast player? If you haven't, please do so. It helps other people to find it, helps us to keep this show in the top 5% of all podcasts on planet Earth. So if you could go over in your podcast player, make sure that you are, of course, subscribed to or following the show, however it is that you're listening or watching. And then, if possible, rate and just type a little review on the show so that other people will be able to find it. It would mean so much to me. And of course, it would also mean a lot to those who are able to discover the show when they're searching for health and fitness support in their podcast players. Thanks so much for doing that. Now let's dive into my interview with Elizabeth Grojean from BalooLiving.com, and let's find out how you and I can sleep better.
I think I had first heard of a weighted blanket. There was this company called Gravity that had a legendary Kickstarter campaign around 2017, and I'd heard about it, which had nothing to do with me starting my business, actually. At the same time, I went on a sabbatical to Bali. I was feeling a little bit burnt out and kind of questioning my approach to life. It didn't seem like it was really getting me what I wanted out of life, which was, I guess, deep contentment, satisfaction, or joy. I was kind of checking the boxes. And I'd heard a lot of amazing things about creativity and culture coming out of Bali. And so I felt very drawn to it. And I saved and saved and kind of had this on my mind for a while. And then left my job, rent my apartment, and went to Bali on a one-way ticket and had an incredible, it wasn't linear. It was an up and down and all around kind of journey experience. And along that ride, I realized that I wanted to be one of the people that I'd seen there, which were a little bit more free and flexible in their lifestyle. So you can call them a digital nomad, but call it whatever.
Okay.
It appealed to me. And I met a friend there who was a former human rights attorney who was manufacturing a product in India and selling it through Amazon. And all of this kind of gave me permission to look at creating a product-based business in a way that I felt aligned with my values, because I didn't want to be just another mass producer, China, whatever, Amazon, Jeff Bezos person. So she showed me kind of a path forward to do things that were more aligned with my values. And so I started doing research for products and discovered this exploding demand for weighted blankets, specifically on Amazon. And when I looked at what was available, it was very few products listed. They were all kind of copycats of gray polyester filled with plastic beads. And I was like, oh, well, I could definitely upgrade on this experience. And so I went to a trade show and I got a sample. And this was all very exciting for me at the time because I was living in a little villa on dollars a day in Bali. But just so happened there was a trade show in China, which is the world's largest trade show that happens once a year. And it was like on Wednesday after I discovered this opportunity. So I booked a ticket to the trade show and I met a supplier and got a sample there. And when I brought it back with me and I tried it in the middle of the day, kind of in tropics weather, I just fell so deeply asleep so quickly and unexpectedly and naturally, woke up without an alarm. It was kind of like a journey. Like I fell asleep and I woke up and I felt like I had traveled to another land. I had been so deeply relaxed, so deeply asleep, and so unexpectedly. It was really moving to me. And I thought it was a financial opportunity initially, but after this experience, it was something that I really felt moved to share with people. And there was just such an opportunity to upgrade the product experience and make something for people that would honor sort of the personal nature of this relationship we have to something that we go to sleep with that makes us feel safe. And the name just came in. The name is Baloo Living. Baloo was the name I'd always saved for I didn't know what, like a pet or a baby. I don't know. I loved the name. And Disney had trademarked it for every category except for bedding, even though
Oh,
it's
wow.
Rudyard Kipling, so it's Commons property. But Disney, of course, had trademarked it for other categories, but not bedding.
Wow.
So I was able to launch pretty quickly Baloo Living
Wow.
that way.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah,
I'm trying to decide where we should go next. Um,
yeah,
can I just start asking questions about
yeah.
my ignorance of weighted blankets?
Yes, please.
I probably so we're big sleepers here at our house, and of course on this podcast we talk about sleep a lot. But this is not something that our family has explored.
Hmm.
Um, so I have heard of weighted blankets. I've heard of people talking about their attachment to their weighted blankets. Now a question I have, this is just me. Everyone else listening is probably like, Nate, you have no clue. So you said polyester, like plastic beads and polyester. How heavy are we talking? What, what is it weighted with?
Yeah.
Tell me like
So,
the product. Like what is it like? What's the experience like?
so your classic weighted blanket is a quilted blanket, and inside is now today it's 2025, almost exclusively brands are using glass microbeads, which are just kind of like sand.
Okay.
So they're pretty pure and clean, so much better than plastic beads of yore. Um, and I think that was in response to the consumer. Like, no one wants to sleep with a bag of plastic on their body.
Right.
There's still a lot of polyester blankets out there. It's a really simple product, though. It's hard to create any kind of technology moat around a weighted blanket because you could make one at home. It's basically just a bunch of, a quilted blanket with weight sewn into each of the pockets. And so
Okay.
ours are what makes ours unique or different is the quality of the fabric. I mean, you can spend $5 on a shirt or $5,000 on a shirt. Um, a lot of it can be in the quality of the textile. So the cotton we use is soft. The unboxing, you feel like you're getting something really, really premium. And we source Okotex certified cotton, so there's no chemical residue or off gassing. There's no funny
Hmm.
smell. It's just like pure natural cotton. And then we took out the polyester lining that a lot of brands are using inside and replaced that with cotton batting as well. So there's nothing synthetic within the
Hmm.
blanket itself.
Gotcha.
And
Gotcha.
then in
Oh,
terms of weight, like
yeah.
the rule of thumb is it's kind of a marketing rule of thumb to make it easy to make a decision, but they say 10% of your body weight. Um, and I say that that's really a very general rule because it depends on the size of the blanket. Like we
Hmm.
sell a 25-pound blanket, but it's for a king bed. And so it's really spread out. You're never going to be underneath all 25 pounds of it.
Hmm.
And we have a 12-pound throw, which is our best seller and the best product, in my opinion. And that's going to feel heavier than the 25-pound king because it's just a personal size.
Sure. Hmm.
So, I was talking to someone earlier today who mentioned that he has a king blanket that's 50 pounds, which is very heavy. I don't even know where he got it, but that's a really heavy blanket.
Okay. Wow. So yeah, I mean, as far as quality, I mean, this is probably TMI, but like at least here, we've gone 100% like we're organic cotton, like,
Mhm.
which is eye-opening to me, Elizabeth, and maybe as you're educating people as well, like once you dive down the plastic exploration, like where is plastic in my life and I'm wearing it. I'm sleeping surrounded by it. Like when we talk about polyester, right?
Yeah.
It was mind blowing to me how it just absolutely all encompassing.
Enveloped.
Yeah, we're just surrounded by plastic. But once we started like, all right, what are the big areas of life where our skin and we're coming in contact with things that could potentially be harmful to us. I was like, I'm spending a third of my life.
Yeah.
And I think about like I'm sleeping in a garbage bag. I'm
Yeah.
I'm
Or
just
us.
Yeah, but once we started making the changes, I was like, oh man, I felt like so free, so fresh, so like going to bed was a much more enjoyable experience. Like I loved it before, but then now I'm
Yeah.
like, this is amazing. Okay, so now how what's this? Can we talk about the science? I think
Yeah.
let's go there. Tell me about why having a weighted blanket on me
Yes.
is is beneficial or is comforting or how that works.
I I am not a scientist. I've read a lot of science about weighted blankets and the mechanism that they work through, which is called deep pressure touch. And so that can be observed in like getting a big hug or being swaddled as a baby or even massage. And we've
Okay.
all experienced the comfort of those things. I mean, I don't remember being swaddled as a baby, but I can imagine it felt pretty good. And the way that it works, it's like turning off the fight or flight reaction in the body because it's a
Hmm.
physical feeling of safety.
Okay.
So the switches are pretty instant when you put a weighted blanket on, in terms of the stimulation of serotonin increases. So you kind of feel this like sense of well-being come on. And then serotonin naturally converts to melatonin, and that's what gives you the cue to sleep. So you feel really calm and safe, and then sort of, oh, go to sleep. There's
Hmm.
also a decrease in cortisol, which is the stress hormone. So I love the feeling or the sensation, which is at this point, just an experience that I'm describing. But once you kind of try it, it's very subtle but surprising because it's so automatic. Like your body does it all by itself. You don't have to do anything. So, in that
Hmm.
sense, it's a passive experience, unlike meditating or yoga or something where you got
Yeah.
to work at it initially to get that payoff. A weighted blanket's just kind of like slipping into Zen.
Okay. Got it. And
Yeah.
so you have done some research or have access to it, right? To just we're talking about like improved sleep quality. Like what's the I guess what are some of the takeaways
We
from that?
We had the opportunity to do our own sleep study. I was at a biohacking trade show and met the folks that have a company called Friends Brain Band, FRENZ. And that is a very cool and innovative piece of tech. They keep winning awards at CSI, and they've got this amazing cohort of, I don't know, Silicon Valley investors. But that's a wearable sleep tech that can get the biofeedback from sleep quality, at an 88% level as compared to like a sleep lab. And so we partnered with them to do a study with 40 volunteers to measure the results on sleep of using the weighted blanket or without. And we also did incorporate, using their technology for one part of the sleep too to see how that would go. So we obviously got the best results using the weighted blanket paired with the Friends Brain Band, which is using CBT. Oh, and I'm blanking on what that cognitive behavioral therapy, which is kind of known as being the most effective type of therapy for improving sleep. So they use noise and guided meditation, but it's customized in a direct response to the biofeedback that the device is getting off of your own brain waves. And also, if they notice that you're about to wake up from a sleep cycle, it will come on automatically and do its thing to prevent you from waking up so you stay asleep. So
Oh
that's what
boy.
that device does.
Okay.
So that was very cool. So the strongest outcomes were in combining the weighted blanket with the Friends Band, but then we also use the Friends Band to collect the data on just weighted blankets alone.
Okay.
And so we got the feedback from that. There was a 27% improvement in sleep onset latency, which is the time it takes you to fall asleep. Sleep efficiency with just the weighted blanket increased to 92%. So that's basically measuring how long you sleep versus how often you wake up.
Okay.
Sleep efficiency. 78% of users reported feeling a very positive effect on sleep quality using the Baloo blanket. And then readiness scores, which was what we called feeling of physical readiness to start the day. So, like waking up feeling rested, improved by 10%,
Okay.
using just the Baloo blanket. So that those were great numbers to see,
Mm-hmm.
very affirming because we have all of our qualitative. We hear from customers and people with really life-changing stories and anecdotes about sleeping through the night, which if you've chased it or pursued it unsuccessfully, to finally catch a good night of sleep is just amazing. But to see numbers like that was really nice. Of course, I wanted it all to be like 100,000% improvement for every single person, but it was real numbers, real
Hmm.
improvements.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm sure
Um,
you got people that probably were good sleepers, to begin
yeah,
with.
we had a really
And
broad spectrum.
yeah,
We didn't self-select. We didn't select a group of people struggling with sleep. These were
right.
people who already, a broad range of people.
Hmm. Yeah. Hmm. Okay. So so this is just me personally. I haven't used a weighted blanket because first of all, I'm a hot sleeper, and second of all, like to be free.
Uh-huh.
I'm afraid that I'm gonna feel
Like
swaddled.
claustrophobic.
Yeah, yeah. I
Yeah.
don't know. So
Yeah.
how do people like me still benefit, or are there people that are definitely like this might not be my thing?
Definitely the first question everyone says is like, "Oh, it's going to make me so hot." Right? Like it seems like it would. And I think a lot of them do. But we designed this on purpose for people that live all over the world in all types of temperatures because I was in Bali and I had friends that were going through menopause and I was thinking of them.
Hmm.
And we actually didn't use, like, you can use cooling fabrics or whatever. I think they're synthetic, but just by nature of the quality of our cotton and then the design of the construction and the weight coming from glass beads, there's almost no heat trapping happening because of the blanket. It's kind of like having one or two extra thin cotton sheets on your body in terms of like the heat
Okay.
retention.
Hmm.
So it doesn't really make you hot, which is cool because you can use it all year round. It won't keep you warm in the winter. You're going to have to bundle up.
Good. Okay.
That's okay. You can just have it in
Yeah.
your bedding. Claustrophobic, I don't know. You'd have to just give it a shot.
It's good.
That's
Try
what
it.
I would say. We have a return policy that's pretty generous. You can do free exchanges if you want to try a different weight. Kick a leg out. I think it could still do some benefit. And we do have people using them not at night for sleep, but during the day, too. Like if you want to take a power nap or
Huh. Okay.
like if I get overwhelmed sometimes, because now I'm running a small business and it can be like a little stressful.
Sure.
Sometimes I might take a time out and be like, okay. And that's when I remember, like you have your tools, but then you have to remember to use them.
Right.
But it can help me do a little reset
Yeah.
for
Okay.
that.
I like that because yeah, I'll do the same thing. I'll go sit out. The weather's nice now. Just go sit outside and just
Yeah.
breathe and listen to birds for 10 minutes, and then I'm like, all right,
Yeah.
I'm good to go. So that
Mental
that
health.
might be yeah, just like a little de-stress, a little stress break to use it for that.
Yeah.
And I'm sure it's not as much weight as what it seems like to me, where I'm like a
Yeah. That's a
weighted
really good
like
point.
it's this medieval like iron like
Chainmail.
chain, yeah, like throw it on top of you and you
I
can't
will
move.
say, like we do get returned of unopened boxes. I know what happened was they picked up the box and it was 25 pounds and they're like, oh geez, what did I do? I'm sending
Hmm.
this back.
Sure.
But when you spread it out, it's not nearly as heavy as you think.
Right. Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I need to try it. Anyway, I think it could be
Yeah.
fun. Fun experiment. Okay. What is the best way for someone who's listening, if they're like me, they know nothing about weighted blankets, what should they do? And if they already are all on the weighted blanket train, what should they
Yeah.
do?
Well, if you're all on the weighted blanket train, I love talking to people who love weighted blankets. That's fun. Our website is balooliving.com. It's Baloo, Living. And we have a discount for your audience, which is Nate 10 to get 10% off store wide. But I'd say give it a shot. Like, it can be really beneficial. What I like about a weighted blanket is in the health space, especially, we and myself included in this, will spend so much money, especially
Hmm.
on supplements.
Hmm.
And this is something that you buy once and you own it. We have a lifetime quality guarantee on it and it's machine washable. You can add this to your sleep and get the benefits every night for the rest of
Hmm.
your life. And if it's not for you, just bring it back or gift it to someone.
Okay.
Yeah, so they make great gifts too because it's kind of like a hug, you know?
Nice.
So I think there's gifts for that reason.
Okay. Yeah. So I'm excited to try it. I've talked to my wife and I'm sure she lets me do all kinds of crazy health
I
experiment things
will I
here.
will
So
make a comment though for couples here, which
yes.
is that I
Okay.
think it's a
Good.
good idea. to each get your own small one instead of trying to share
Okay.
because all that fabric, it can get to be like a moat between the two of you. And that's something I've heard. It's like, I can't reach her. She's
Can't
on
get
the other
over there.
side of this weighted blanket.
Okay. Okay. Awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So good, 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 good. So that would be the recommendation was like ease in, get your own
That's
separate one.
that's
Yeah.
our best seller. It has, like it's easier to wash, easier to make your bed. Like it's just the best option, I think. Yeah. That's my recommendation.
Okay.
12
I need
pound
to
throw.
at least give it a try, right? So I love the point that you made about we'll do all this, we'll invest all this, we'll spend all this for supplements or whatever. And I mean, we were talking before we started recording about let's like if you're talking about things to improve in order to really make a difference in your health, sleep is number one. Like, so absolutely. Why aren't we trying
Yeah.
this? Yeah.
It's a core pillar for so many things. And yeah,
Hmm.
skin, wrinkles, mental function, emotional bandwidth, decision making,
Yeah.
memory retention, recovery after you work out, reaction times when you're driving, like weight loss. It is just so influential in our overall health in every aspect. And so I think even for good sleepers, if there's something you can do that'll improve the benefit of your sleep even a little bit more, it's still
Hmm.
great to
Yeah.
try.
Yeah, right on. I think that's what I'm thinking. Even if you're feeling like, oh, I sleep great, and that's probably
Mhm.
me. Like most of the time, I'm a great sleeper.
Mhm.
And I hope that continues. But could it be more efficient? Could it be higher quality? Of course, it could always
Yeah,
be. So why aren't we trying to optimize the things that are going to make the most difference in our health and our overall
yeah.
well-being? Yeah.
Yeah. And they are great for kids too. I'll just mention that because I have a 3.5-year-old, and so he uses his every night. And I mean, he sleeps great. I think little kids, once you get them to sleep, sleep pretty well. Um, but this is just nice to see him also wrapped up in something that's like so cozy and helps him settle down
Hmm.
when he needs to go to bed at night. And I've
Yeah.
heard that anecdotally from friends too that are like sending me a picture of their 12-year-old asleep on the couch. They're like, bless you. Thank you.
I'm
I can
sure
clean
you'd
the
love
house.
that. Oh, that's awesome. That must be so cool to get
It
those
is. It is
messages
really fun.
and get all that
Yeah.
feedback. Oh, cool. So, BalooLiving.com.
Yep.
Nate 10 is the code that will get you 10% off anything on the site. Awesome. Elizabeth Grojean. Thanks for your work. Thanks for sharing this with us. And just keep it up. And we're excited to give it a try.
Awesome. Let me know how it goes.
Will do. Thanks a lot.
All right. Thanks.
All right, there you go. Head over to balooliving.com. That's BALOO living.com. Use that code Nate10 to get 10% off site wide. You're going to like it. You're going to enjoy it. I got to tell you, after I spoke with Elizabeth, I got on balooliving.com myself and grabbed the exact weighted blanket that she talked about. I will tell you that just as I mentioned, I was very skeptical, but I was of the mindset of, hey, I'm going to try this just to relax, right? End of the day. So picture this, me and Amanda and Jack and Josie, our dogs, are just relaxing at the end of the day. End of the day for us is like 8 o'clock, right? And typically we got the TV on, we're watching a show that is very, very low, 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 low in terms of energy, barely entertaining, right? And I put that weighted blanket on. And I should tell you, it feels amazing. Like just the quality of the blanket itself, super soft, smooth. And I put that weighted blanket on and I just laid there. I'm like, I'm going to try this. Of course, right away I did. I felt exactly what Elizabeth was talking about. A little calmer, more peaceful. And before I knew it, I was opening my eyes to an empty room. You know what happened? I fell asleep right there, and the whole family went to bed without me. I slept right there on the couch with my weighted blanket that night. So, kind of a surprising response that I had to it. I would love to know, hey, if you're not new to the weighted blanket thing, I want to know how it's working for you, what you love about it. If you've tried it before and you didn't like it, I'm curious as well. If you're kind of in that camp where I was initially and you have yet to try it and now you're willing to give it a shot, I definitely want to know how it goes for you. So leave a comment here. If you're watching on YouTube, definitely just drop a comment, or Spotify, or you can find me on social media at Nate Slager. Let me know about your weighted blanket experiences. I definitely found it was much less to be scared about than I thought, and much more powerful than I imagined. So if you need to check one out yourself, get over there, get one from Elizabeth on balooliving.com. Let me know, please, how it goes. I would love that. And I will talk with you soon. Until then, please keep taking good care of yourself. All right, there you go. Head over to balooliving.com. That's BALOO living.com. Use that code Nate10 to get 10% off site wide. You're going to like it. You're going to enjoy it. I got to tell you, after I spoke with Elizabeth, I got on balooliving.com myself and grabbed the exact weighted blanket that she talked about. I will tell you that, just as I mentioned, I was very skeptical, but I was of the mindset of, hey, I'm going to try this just to relax, right? End of the day. So picture this, me and Amanda and Jack and Josie, our dogs, were just relaxing at the end of the day. You know, end of the day for us is like 8 o'clock, right? And typically we got the TV on, we're watching a show that is very, very low in terms of energy, barely entertaining, right? And I put that weighted blanket on. And I should tell you, it feels amazing. Like, just the quality of the blanket itself, super soft, smooth. And I put that weighted blanket on and I just laid there. I'm like, I'm going to try this. Of course, right away I did. I felt exactly what Elizabeth was talking about. A little calmer, more peaceful. And before I knew it, I was opening my eyes to an empty room. You know what happened? I fell asleep right there, and the whole family went to bed without me. I slept right there on the couch with my weighted blanket that night. So, kind of a surprising response that I had to it. I would love to know, hey, if you're not new to the weighted blanket thing, I want to know how it's working for you, what you love about it. If you've tried it before and you didn't like it, I'm curious as well. If you're kind of in that camp where I was initially and you have yet to try it and now you're willing to give it a shot, I definitely want to know how it goes for you. So leave a comment here. If you're watching on YouTube, definitely just drop a comment, or Spotify, or you can find me on social media at Nate Slager. Let me know about your weighted blanket experiences. I definitely found it was much less to be scared about than I thought, and much more powerful than I imagined. So if you need to check one out yourself, get over there, get one from Elizabeth on balooliving.com. Let me know, please, how it goes. I would love that. And I will talk with you soon. Until then, please keep taking good care of yourself.